We're live. Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to our Talking Cafe. This morning, I'm going to introduce Julie Brown, who is new to us. She is a village agent for East Mendip, and this is her Talking Cafe, but I'm here to support her and make sure that the tech side of things is going okay to plan. So, and Julie's joined by Steve. So I'll let Julie introduce you to Steve. And that's it from me.
Oh, hi, welcome everybody. Yes, it's Steve today. I'm the new village agent for East Mendip, as Kizzy said. I can't believe it's only like 8 weeks till Christmas, so it's quite. I just don't know where this year's gone. Probably COVID has made all our minds go mad. I don't know, but 8 weeks till Christmas, so obviously it can be quite a stressful time. People could have already been in debt from having no earnings through lockdown and that sort of thing. So, it's a privilege really today to have Steve here, who's from the organisation called Campaign Against Poverty, and hopefully he's going to be able to help with how to deal with debt really, and introduce the work they do and some general tips really for preparing for Christmas spending. So welcome, Steve, and I'll leave you to introduce yourself at the moment, but if anybody does want to ask any questions, if you just pop them in the comments box, and then if we don't get to answer them during the live broadcast, then we will answer them after. Just remember not to post any personal details in the general comments box, and private message the page if you would like to leave anything for us to get back to you. So Steve, if you're happy, I'll pass on to you for you to introduce yourself, and then we'll obviously chip in if there's anything that we need to ask you. All right.
Thank you, Julie. Okay. Right. Thank you so much for inviting me to come and share about the work of Christians Against Poverty. So just a brief bit about me. I'm in my early 60s, as you can see. I spent 22 years in the Royal Air Force as an engineer, and after that I came out and worked for a church full-time for 14 years, and then 6 years ago I started to work as a debt centre manager here in Yeovil for Christians Against Poverty. We call it CAP for short. And then 3 years ago, head office in Bradford wanted me to become an area manager. So I look after the debt centres, particularly in Somerset and Dorset. I'm married, been married for 32 years, have 3 grown-up kids, and just looking above me, I've got a picture of my son Josh and his wife Katie. They both work at in Bradford for CAP. I just want to look at 3 areas really this morning, and I just want to touch on poverty just a small bit, because we are Christians against poverty. It's often easy to think that poverty is simply a lack of material resources, but it's actually multi-dimensional and often the result of broken relationships. As Christians, our primary relationship should ultimately be with God, our Creator, allowing other relationships to flow out of this. When we live in a joyful and intimate way with God, we experience His presence. And in fact, in April this year, during COVID-19, around 25% of the UK population has accessed prayer or worshipped online. It's clear that there's a desire for an intimacy with God, and that remains during this crisis. Just want to touch on relational poverty. As Christians, we believe that God created us to live in a loving relationship with one another, to build families, friendships, to have social connections, and ultimately to experience a vibrant relationship with Him. As the COVID-19 pandemic has shown, we lack these connections. It can lead to an increase in isolation, loneliness, fear, shame, and depression, which can have an impact on our self-worth and mental health. And finally, material poverty. This is generally our most common understanding of poverty, a lack of material resources to meet basic needs, such as money, housing, clothing, food, or medicine, in generally our most common understanding of poverty in the UK. And finally, I just want to read out a quote from Mother Teresa. She says, "We sometimes think that poverty is only being hungry, naked, and homeless. The poverty of being unwanted, unloved, and uncared for is the greatest poverty. We must start in our own homes to remedy this kind of poverty." So that's just touching on what poverty is, what I think poverty is. And I just want to start to talk about the work of Christians Against Poverty. And you can see this roller banner behind me. You can see a big number there, 0800 328 0006. And if you are in unmanageable debt and you need help, then that is the number you call. It doesn't matter wherever you are in the UK, if you're in the Mendip area or Somerset area, you feel you want to reach out for help, then call that number and you will come into the diaries of one of us debt coaches in and around the area. So CAP, it started in 1996. A guy called John Kirkby, he's written a book called Nevertheless. And there are about 282 debt centres around the UK. We have just seen the 100th client, the 100th household go debt-free through the Yeovil Debt Centre. That is amazing. I'm not one for. My wife says to me, I should smile more. I should be more excited on my outside. I am very excited on the inside. That whilst we've seen 400 households, clients, 100 of those have gone debt-free. Staggering. Transformation has taken place in their lives. We are here to offer help for people with money problems. We have stopped repossessions. Relationships have been saved from being broken. And I can say to you that those that have called the number, the 0800 328 0006, I might say that many times, 1 in 3 of those that have called that have thought about committing suicide. I'm sure we have saved many from committing suicide. People can wait as long as 3 years before finding the courage to seek help with their debts. At first, it may seem like you can manage a drop in income, but when bills start to get missed, debt can rapidly build up and life spirals out of control until it becomes unmanageable. Debt can be caused by many different reasons, mainly ill health, bereavement, relationship breakdown, lack of life skills, or low income, possibly from unemployment. It may not just be due to the pandemic that we're in, although there may be many people in our area that have had a reduction in hours or income and could now be struggling with their debts or with their finances. Getting help as early as possible can make a difference. Our service is free of charge. And what I will say right now, we're normally booked up for Yeovil, we're normally booked up 3 months in advance. So with our 3 debt coaches, myself, Mary and Charlotte, we would have 15 new clients on our books. That is not the case. A lot of people are not calling the agencies like Step Change, Money Advice Service or Christians Against Poverty, CAP, for some reason. Maybe it's because they get an extra £20 a week. So nearly £90 a week extra if they're on Universal Credit. So they might be thinking about kicking their debt into the long grass, as it were, putting it off. Well, what I will say is, if people were to ring that number just in the Oval area, let alone around the other debt centres that are in Somerset, Witherspoon, Taunton, Weston-super-Mare, Street, Bath, of course here in Yeovil, and 2 months ago we opened a debt centre in Frome. And only yesterday did they have their first call. So they've got their first client, which is fantastic. Like I say, we've seen over 400. Froome have seen their first client. So Phil Gray, the debt centre manager, is going to make contact with that person and take them through their journey out of debt. Now, our USP, our unique selling point, is that we would normally go out to people's homes. So they'd make that call and we would make contact with them and visit them in their homes. That's the difference between CAP and other organisations. But that's been taken away from us from the 23rd of March. So we've adapted our service to as from visits to appointments. So we make that phone call and talk to people on the phone. But what we are doing, we are pushing the envelope, we are pushing the boundaries, but keeping social distancing in mind. So for argument's sake, where I am in Yeovil, with St John's Church as the lead church, we have a building that St John's has access to. And so I can, or the three of us as debt coaches, can invite our clients, so those that call that number can invite our clients to join myself as the debt coach and a befriender, the three of us, in a large enough room with ventilation and all that stuff. And so we can still see our clients. And that is important to us, seeing our clients. Having a relationship on the phone is one thing. Having a relationship one-to-one, having a relationship like this, on Zoom or whatever it might be. We use Google Hangouts in CAP, and sometimes I've had enough of Zoom or Google Hangouts. So I long to get back to having relationships, seeing people, especially new clients, for the very first time, and helping them on their journey out of debt. Fundamentally, what we do is we will see them for the first time, explain the process, and then invite them back or make the next phone call, as it is, to go through what we call a fact finder. And we get all their information and put it on this electronically onto this fact finder. I can say to you in the past that when we've gone out and visited clients back in the day, we probably all say back in the day, I've visited one particular client, and he had 3 black bin liners full of envelopes that he hadn't opened. The fear of opening those envelopes because he was in unmanageable debt, and he had people calling him, people knocking on the door, and I could sit here all day and talk about stories of fear in our clients. We had one particular guy who was homeless. Yes, we help the homeless. How do we do that? Well, he brought all his paperwork to the building here. I call him John, and he lived in his van. And we got all those, I think it was about half a dozen black bin liners of unopened envelopes down to a pile of about that much. So we're talking about the facts in the fact finder. And we send that off up to head office, and that's in Bradford. We're debt coaches. We're not allowed to give advice. We're sort of like the middle person, as it were. Client, us, head office. They're the experts up there. Send the information up there, the paperwork, and they would then send me a budget, and I would deliver the budget, and then people would sign up to the budget. That's a hard place to be in, because people don't necessarily, not everyone, but there are people out there who don't necessarily have the life skills to go through a budget, and I only wish schools would include it on their curriculum, and it just so happens that CAP have adapted a system. It's called CAP Money, and so there is a way of actually going into schools and colleges with our toolbox of equipment with CAP Money, and to briefly explain to youngsters how to budget, preventative maintenance, in other words. So there are 282 debt centres, and we hope that those people that contact us will go on that journey out of debt. And the amazing thing is that we end up becoming their friends as well. So when they go debt free through us, some just say thank you, bye bye, Steve or Mary or Anne Charlotte. But some actually hang on in there and become our friends. We always offer to pray. After all, we are Christians against poverty. And so we always offer to pray. And apart from on one occasion, every time I've offered to pray at the end of a visit or an appointment over the phone, only on one occasion someone said no thank you, and we respect that. So we would see anybody, regardless of race, nationality, religion, gender, marital status or disability. So you don't have to be a Christian to contact CAP for help with your debt. So we're able to help, and we're determined to do whatever we can to alleviate the additional pressure that many people are facing as they negotiate a loss of income. Quite often at the fact finder, when we take away, imagine those 3 bin liners or 6 bin liners, when we take away the paperwork and the rest goes in the bin, the pressure that comes off. We've many times walked out and people have been in tears because we have said, you're working with CAP now, you're in the CAP family, we're going to help you. We build that relationship with them, and it's amazing. Hey, I won't digress. I could just think of so many people. I can think of one mother that has said to me, the mother of a son, this guy who was homeless, she said, Steve, we've got our son back now. He was a drug addict. His debts were huge. And she said, we've got our son back. Thank you so much. Every time I see it, obviously not now, but every time I see it, she gives me a hug and a kiss. Because she said, you have done so much for us. But it's not me, it's the machine, it's the CAP family, and it's just so amazing. We see people often at their lowest point. Then we get to see that burden lifted and taken away. I think some people have asked me, do I know what it feels like to be in debt? Well, that's where when I get to know people, if it's over the phone now, or hopefully face to face still, but when we used to go and visit people in their homes, just sharing a bit about my story. In my early teens, my dad had been married 3 times. My parents are long gone, they're passed on now. But I remember at the age of 12, having to live in a children's home in Plymouth. In fact, 2 children's homes in Plymouth. My dad used to own a fish and chip shop in Bodmin, and my second mother, who was an alcoholic, drunk all the money away, as it were, all the profits. So he was in serious debt. So he took myself and my brother up to Plymouth and plonked us with my grandmother. She probably hadn't got a clue what to do with a 12-year-old and an 11-year-old, climbing all over the furniture. And off he went abroad for a couple of years, 2 years, to earn money to clear his debt. So she couldn't look after us. So we ended up being in a children's home, and he came back because the social services were thinking about putting us up for adoption. So he came back quickly, and I don't know whether he paid off all the debts then or not. He took us out of the children's home, and we ended up living in guest houses. So I suppose you could have said that we were homeless as well. Now that was when we were 12 and 13. And I remember, there are smells, there are songs, there are people, there are moments in our lives that we remember well. And for good or for bad, I will never forget as a 12-year-old at school, standing in a line, and all the boys there, it was games, and they had their blue and red rugby strips on and their rugby boots, and there was me, Steve Hart, with a white t-shirt, white shorts and white plimsolls. How on earth was I supposed to play rugby with white plimsolls on, slipping and sliding all over in the mud? And every time, without fail, the games teacher would say, "Hart, where is your strip?" And I would have to say, "Sir, we can't afford it." I'll never forget that. Never forget that. And that's not what drives me to do what I do. But actually, when I came into the work of CAP 6 years ago, I just believe that God reminded me of those times. And I don't know what it feels like to be in unmanageable debt as an adult, but I certainly remember what it was like as a kid. And when just thinking about food banks, we have a food bank in Yeovil called the Lord's Larder. Incredible resource it is, and we if any of our clients are in need of food, we'll just say to Matt and the team, "Can we have a food parcel?" And we will top it up with fresh food. So we have a bank account. I have to find money to survive as a debt centre, as all charities do. I sleep at night. I believe that God has provided for us over the since the debt centre opened 9.5 years ago, and I've been leading it for 6. So we tap into that, and we top up the food parcel, non-perishable foods with the likes of a fresh food shop. It's great that we've got Lidl's and Aldi's locally. I can't believe what you can get for 25 quid from Lidl's and Aldi's. So if you shop at Marks and Spencer's or even Tesco's, go to Lidl's, go to Aldi's. It's cheaper and it's cheerful. It's just as good. Okay, asking for help is a positive step. Do it now. You might not be in unmanageable debt, but you may know somebody who is. It might be a family member, it might be a friend. They may live in your area, they may not. They may live in another part of the UK. But 0800 328 0006 is a number that we would ask you to encourage them to call. Making this call could bring hope into what may seem a hopeless situation and change your life forever. We need hope at the moment. If we think about Christmas, what hope is there for Christmas? And I say to my wife and our kids, we can't plan. Josh and Katie live up in Bradford, tier 2. They can't come down this year. We're devastated that they can't come. They usually come down and see us. But at this moment in time, unless all 4 countries align themselves and agree that we can open up Christmas and we can do what we want, I doubt it very much. But with Christians Against Poverty, guys, there is always hope. Okay, so I've touched on Christmas, and I'm not the guru for Christmas budgeting, because you can go on the internet and you can find so much stuff out there. So I'm going to just probably give you 5 tips, not 10 or 20, because you'll forget them, but just 5. And hopefully they will help you to budget at Christmas. So a bit of background then, and these figures will not mean anything to you probably, but having done a bit of work, a typical household in the UK spends over £2,500 per month. I say typical, whatever that means. And the run up to Christmas, our spending habits change dramatically. Of course they do. We buy a lot more, and a typical household can spend over £800 extra. So that's nearly a third again of the 2.5k that would be going on going out. Question about going out and buying gifts for family and friends. From a normal month, our spending in around Christmas goes up on food by 16%. You may think it goes up more. Let me just pause on food. With all our clients, what we do at Christmas is we provide them with a Christmas hamper. So as in addition to the food parcels throughout the year. So it's not just Christmas where we give them a nice hamper, but we help them throughout the year, consistently. But of course, the Christmas hamper is a special hamper. And we've got this Christmas appeal, and people are just sending us money. I'm just, we're going to probably end up with thousands of pounds, seriously, coming in. Because what we normally do is get a group to put the hamper together. And people are generous at Christmas and bring the hamper to us. We'd give no names, we'd give initials, and maybe they've got 2 or 3 kids, and they bring the food hamper to us. Or Christmas box, whatever it might be called, and then we would deliver it using either us as debt coaches or our befrienders. But this year it's got to be different. We can't expect people to be coming together in their groups and getting foodstuffs, etc. So we've just said, okay, let's just put an appeal, give us some money. We'll go to the Lord's Larder Food Bank. They'll produce the core of the Christmas hamper, and we'll provide bits around it with the money that comes in from all these donations. Okay, so food increases the expenditure by 16%. Alcohol, 39%. Clothes, 43%. Toiletries, 56%. I always wait for Christmas to buy my aftershave. It gets me through the rest of the year. Computers, 68%. Books, 85%, and music and DVDs, 116%. So that's the increase of expenditure over Christmas. And just touching on credit card debt in the UK, this figure won't mean anything to any of us. But in January this year, the credit card debt was £72 billion, whatever that means. So that's an average. If you look at just over 28 million households, that's an average of £2,500 per household. Okay, so let's just touch on the 5 budgeting tips. I need to keep to my script because I can so easily go off on a tangent. I can talk the hind legs off a donkey if you let me. Anyway, so the first budgeting tip: decide on your Christmas spending money in advance. So what I'm saying here is decide how much you are able and willing to spend. For those in a joint household, make sure both parties agree to the same amount and how it will be divided among you to spend. In other words, how much are you going to spend? This might for some of you think, oh yeah, I know all about this, but for some of you, you might think this is radical. Especially when we come onto the emotional side of Christmas. So decide how much you're going to spend. Then make a list. Make a list. My son got married 3 years ago. So we said to him, Josh, put all the people on your list that you want to come to the reception. Of course, it ended up having 300 on there. And it was like, no way. That 300 had to come down to 100. That was a tough call for him and Katie, Josh and Katie, to take their 300 friends down to 100 family and friends. So make a list of everyone you want to buy a gift for before you start shopping. Before you start, put the most important people in your life. That'll be an interesting thing to do at the top of your list. We're talking about family and very, very close friends. You don't have to buy a gift for someone who has bought you one before. Martin Lewis, our money saving expert, is keen on that. Don't just buy gifts for people that buy you a gift. What's all that about? So buy gifts for people who are special to you, probably who you see all the time, i.e. family and friends. Okay, so that's so number one, how much are you going to spend? Number two, make a list. Number three, prioritize your spending. In other words, now that you've decided your Christmas budget and made your list, allocate the amount you decide to spend on each person or activity on your list. It's okay to prioritize gifts for your children, spouse, partner, and immediate family first. You don't have to spend it all. It's a budget. If you put in, I don't know, I'm not going to put a figure, but whatever figure you put down to spend, if you think, oh, I've got to spend this on Christmas, you don't have to spend it all. But of course, the issue is if you run out of that money, that budgeting money, and you've got down halfway through the list, you're gonna have to spend less on the people at the top of the list that mean most important to you. The bottom line is you've only got so much money. Number four, ignore the sales. The temptation to buy because there is a sale. Stick to your list, going back to the list again, and leave it if it's not on your list. Everything that is bought brings more stuff into our households. And just because it's cheap, it's not necessarily cheerful. Okay? The biggie, number five, no emotional spending. Be wary of spending based on emotions, as they can rule our decisions rather than the list we've made. How many times have you stood in the store and justified your purchase with, this would be the perfect gift for Christmas? Or, don't worry, we can figure out a way to pay for it later. Or, the sale ends today. Or, this won't be available next Christmas. Our emotions can drive our purchases. Don't let finding your Christmas gifts on a budget fall victim to emotional spending. So, just those 5 budgeting tips. How much you're going to spend, who's on the list, how much per person, cheap isn't always cheerful, and stick to your list. And just finally, on budgeting, of course I would say this, Christmas begins with Christ, not debt. Okay?
Thank you, Steve. That was, it sort of reminded me really of how I used to really budget for Christmas when my children were a lot smaller. They're sort of adults now, so they only just want money. No one really wants anything else. But it's quite interesting. I literally used to have like an Excel spreadsheet going with all the people on that list that I wanted to buy for, and an amount at the very beginning, and I total it up at it automatically calculate at the bottom, and it really does sort of keep you on track. And then as I would have bought one of the presents, and say I wanted, I don't know, a certain doll, but I managed to get it £5 cheaper, I would put the price that I actually paid, and then I'd also have a total with that at the bottom, and it just sort of made me think, oh, okay, so I can't really get that other present as cheap as I wanted, but I've managed to get that one a bit cheaper. So just sticking rigidly with that really helped when I was really sticking to a budget, when only one of us was earning and that sort of thing. So it really does help. And I know you touched on the Martin Lewis site, which me and Kizzy were busy, weren't we, looking on tips and tricks that he's come up with, because he really does mention some
I love him. Brilliant. He's so practical.
He's very good. I know. And the obliging, you were saying, Steve, about don't give back to someone just because they give to you. You don't realise the stress that puts on someone by, I did have friends I used to say, well, don't buy for the children at Christmas, we'll just do birthdays because they're spread out over the year, but Christmas is all at once, spending. So, And yet some friends used to just still buy and say, oh, well, don't worry about getting any for us. But you just feel obliged that you have to, and then you still.
It makes you feel awful, doesn't it? You feel like you're talking about the emotional side of spending and things like that. It does. It makes you feel just I think that's the main message, is how that makes other people feel. So although you have the money and the means, and it makes you feel great to be able to purchase a gift for somebody, imagine how it's going to make them feel, particularly now when, you know, people have lost their jobs or their hours have been massively cut. It's just added stress and added anxiety, and that's not what Christmas is about. I think I personally absolutely hate Christmas because it's so stressful for that one day. I'm a mother of 2 children, they're 5 and 7, and I should love it, but I don't. And it's because, like, people are running around, you know, throwing each other out the way for the 20p bag of last 20p bag of carrots. Or
it's interesting,
and that's not what I like.
that my wife doesn't like Christmas. That's probably because she works in Marks and Spencer's, and Christmas has already started.
That's the retail.
She's sick of
true,
it, you know. And by the time we get to Christmas, you know, the Christ in Christmas has disappeared, you know, as it were. It's interesting. Martin Lewis, I've got a flyer here, and on the back is a picture of Martin Lewis. And this is our CAP flyer that we give out all over the place. And he says about CAP are unsurpassed when it comes to the debt help they give people across the country. He's been up to Bradford. He's spoken to the team. He would love to close us down, but only because there would be no more debt out there in our society, in our communities. And I last year, for the first time, I decided to send no Christmas cards.
That's we've got that in our house, and no rule.
Why is it that over the years I used to count the number of Christmas cards that would come in, and it's like how many likes on a post on Facebook. It makes me feel good, it makes me feel loved, it makes me feel cared for. So I would count each year the numbers, and it would be well over 100. I remember being in the Air Force and actually being in Central America, and was there over Christmas. And this is a positive story though, I had more Christmas cards sent to me because of my Christian friends and family. I had more Christmas cards sent to me than the whole of the squadron put together. I mean that's staggering. But coming back to
What do you do with them afterwards?
Well, my wife, she cuts the front off, and they become tags. For next year. But I decided last year no more Christmas cards. This year I'm just not going to send any more Christmas cards. In fact, last year, or was it 2 years ago? 2 years ago I stopped doing it. And you know what? A friend of mine, good friend of mine, called us because she hadn't received a Christmas card from me. She thought there was something wrong, like I died or something.
But it's all the stress around Christmas cards, you know, especially like even in schools. It's like stress for teachers trying to deal with, I don't know, hundreds of cards coming in. And, you know, I've been madly driving around friends' houses trying to deliver cards up to Christmas when you're really busy because somebody else has popped another one in, and, you know, and you think, no, I don't want any more. It's far better. I think the last 2 to 3 years I've just donated to charity instead, you know, instead of buying the card from a charity. I know it's not good for the post office. They're not getting their, you know.
I think they'll be busy enough anyway.
You know, it does make you think, doesn't it, really? And then, like you said, they're either only going to, they could be recycled, then that's good. But if not, then they are only going to go in the bin. So it's, you know, probably a quick phone call or do an electronic one or, you know, phone people. Try and, I know you can't see people at the moment, but do a call instead. It probably means more than sticking the card there.
Yeah. All these unlimited calls and unlimited text. I mean, call them. Don't text them.
Yeah.
Call them.
That is so important. There are so many people that are lonely at the moment, and that just that half-an-hour phone call would make such a difference to somebody rather than a card in the letterbox.
Just above go on, Julia.
But even talking about gifts, gifts don't have to be monetary ones or ones that you can buy from a shop. It's, and Martin Lewis also had on his website, there's probably a link somewhere on there, Kizzy, but about some checks, Christmas checks you can send, and you just fill them out and you put in something like, I don't know, I can dye your hair in the new year, I'll dye your hair for you, or I'll spend an hour's worth of gardening, or, for a family member that you can be in contact with. Or we'll go on a picnic, we'll go to a winter day at the beach or something, and I'll pick you up if it's a family member, you're allowed a car, all that sort of stuff. It's more of a promise of a gift, something that doesn't have to cost you anything.
Just above my head, you can see some cardboard cutouts. Yeah, can you just see those just above my head? Well, when I talked earlier on about the 100th person going debt-free, each cutout signifies a household who's gone debt-free. So in our office here, as soon as you walk in the door, you're confronted when you look up with string. It's not Christmas decorations. Your string crisscrossing across the office, and we put up at one of these little persons for every household that's gone debt free. And when people come into our office, they look up and say, "What's that? What are they?" And when I tell them, okay, it's massive. It's like I said earlier on, it's life transforming. And yeah, so if you're watching this live now, or if you're watching it on YouTube later, and any of you out there are in unmanageable debt, or of somebody, please call this number 0800 328 0006. And even we have a radius, even the Froome Street, Weston-super-Mare, Bath, Taunton, Witherspoon and the Oval, we have a radius, an area of where we would cover. But we've extended those. I mean, I extend from Yeovil down to Dorchester now, because after all, people are going to make the call, and if we can't see them, we can always speak to them on the phone. So it actually doesn't matter in one sense how far away they are. They could be in Manchester. I mean, there are debt centres up in Manchester, but yeah, people, it doesn't matter where they are, we are waiting. We're like coiled springs, waiting to go or invite our clients to come into our church building here so we can see them, or the minimum is to call them and take them on their journey out of debt. So, yeah.
It really is. It's an invaluable service. I personally have referred people to your service, and it has made such a difference to their lives. And we feel lucky that we have that, particularly now that we've got Phil in Froome as well. So that's brilliant.
Indeed. And referral agencies are fantastic, and thank you so much. But that if we had a Premier League, at the top of our Premier League of people that refer to us are other clients. When they see the difference it makes, when the pressure is just taken off, when the tears come down their face, when the difference it makes, when they start to tell their friends, first of all, they've got to share that. They might not have shared it with their friends or family. It's massive. And we had a lady come in, a call cap, and say, I need your help. And I said, so you married, aren't you? Yeah. Have you told your husband? No, he doesn't know that we're in debt like this. I said, well, we can only help you both. So she had to walk away from my help because she had not shared with her husband how much debt they're in. Staggering situations. You never know what goes on behind closed doors.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us today, Steve.
Okay, you're welcome. It's a pleasure.
It's important really that people act now. You know, a bit of that pressure can be lifted before Christmas even is upon us. So yeah, please do give Steve a call. I think it'd be, you know, a really good place to start now and plan for having a debt-free 2021. Definitely. Thank you, Steve.
Okay, thank you.
All right, we'll leave you to it.
So with the last bit, did you want to talk about anything else, Julie?
Well, really, it was just a few little tips and things that we sort of thought about, wouldn't it? Really, we sort of mentioned Christmas cards and doing a budget, that sort of thing. But you know, I'm a great believer in trying to sell clutter around your house. You know, your kids have probably got toys stuck anywhere. I don't know. That is everywhere, isn't it? Just have a look at it. You know, are they actually playing with it? Is it still a toy that, you know, people want, or, you know, playing the bill? All those sort of real branded type stuff that your kids may be a bit old for now. You know, sell it on the Facebook marketplace, Gumtree or eBay. And it's surprising how much money you can get back in from that to just go towards buying some more. And when you're on there, have a look for those toys you wanted yourself, because actually they're probably on there somewhere. So there's a few things popped up on there, and also you can get money off codes. I think because he puts them on there. So again, look through. You can get money off. Martin Lewis also has got quite a few links for perfumes, hasn't he? Because we found
I saw that.
That smell like expensive perfumes, but they're actually not. So you know, make a list of gift baskets. You can include all these little items in your own gift baskets. You know, try and use. You know, have your own decorative boxes, which you can buy for a couple of pounds from, you know, bargain stores and craft stores. And, you know, I think people will really appreciate a gift that's been made and it's something you spend some time on. You can get your kids involved with decorating and getting the glitter out. And, you know, I think with how things are at the moment, having something personal delivered to your door and put on your doorstep will mean a whole lot more than you just ordering something.
Talc.
Yeah. And I'm sure your grandparents don't really want more slippers and socks. You know, they'd probably rather have something that you've made for them, and they'll probably treasure it more, won't they? So yeah, you know, we can put some other bits on, can't we, Kizzy, of any other things that we found? But
I think predominantly we just wanted to make sure that the message for today is that you don't have to. It's one day, isn't it? It's one day, and you know, I say that I hate Christmas. I don't hate it. I just hate the anxiety and stress that it can cause, because with Steve saying about the emotional side, you know, spending of things, and it's just unnecessary, isn't it? And I enjoy the time you can spend with family, which I realise it's difficult to be able to do that. But virtually, there are things over the telephone, or you know, if you are just able to sit in some, you know, a relative's garden or whatnot, that makes all the more difference, I think, than sending a gift. And you know, and family and friends, they are understanding, aren't they? You know, people's circumstances have changed, and you know, it's about being open and honest, I think, and saying, I think actually I did send an email to some of our staff and our other agents, and Ruby had come up with a really good idea that her and her family use, which is it's an app. I can't remember what she said it was called now, and it's like a Secret Santa app, and you put in all the names and things like that, and then it virtually is the bag sort of thing. Like you pick a name out of, and nobody gets the same name, obviously. And that, I think that's a really good idea too. I'll try and find it to put the link in to do, which could save people money as well. it's just about minimizing that stress and that anxiety, isn't it? And
even the Christmas dinner, you know, we're all going to be confined to only having probably 6 at most, and for most of us, if you've got a family with 3 kids anyway, that means it is just basically going to be your family. You're not going to be able to have anybody else. So take advantage of that. Don't do an all-out elaborate Christmas dinner. You know, your kids aren't going to know a turkey from a chicken. It's like, why spend? Get them, they're going to be off at Christmas, get them helping with preparing the veg. They can make their own pigs and blankets. Don't buy the ones expensive that are already done. You know, prepare your own vegetable accompaniments, freeze them now, do some baking, make some salted caramels, bundle them up for gifts. You know, there's lots of stuff that can be done. It doesn't need to cost the earth and go all out on Christmas dinners. I've got friends who cook Christmas dinners for like 18 people, and she's like saying, "Oh no, it's not going to be the same." I'm like, "No, it's going to be wonderful for you. You're actually going to be able to enjoy Christmas without spending the whole of it in the kitchen." So
yeah,
you know, try and embrace it a bit.
Brilliant. So hopefully that's helped a few people. Is there any other links you want me to post, Julie? Have I posted them all?
I don't think so. I think we've got them all. Oh, apart from Kirsty's handmade Christmas type stuff, Kirsty Allsop, and there's a couple of those for some craft ideas of things to make, I think. So we could put them on. And I know we're going to be having lots of talking cafes throughout December. So I'm sure there'll be lots of other ones that we'll be talking about making stuff on, and basically we just don't want people to worry about how they're going to pay for all of this in 2021. That's the main message.
Exactly. Because no one knows what 2021 is going to be.
We just don't know what 2021 is going to be.
It's such uncertain times, isn't it? And it's just, I think just try and rein it in, I think, really. And don't be bad about that.
Just be open with people. Just say, look, we're not. Yeah, I did that one year and just sort of said, right, we're not buying all the adults now. We're only going to buy the children, and I'm only going to spend this much, and that's it. And then everybody else follows suit, and it makes it better for everyone. It's probably a relief for everybody, really. So
Hi, Nick. Nick's on the chat, and I'm just going to say hi to Darcy and Nala because they said hi, mummy, in the chat. Yeah, brilliant. Well done on your first Talking Cafe, Julie. I hope you enjoyed it.
It wasn't as daunting as I thought.
I told you. Brilliant. Thanks everyone for tuning in. I hope it's helped you all. See you again soon. Bye.
Bye.